Good morning, Ma'am Shaira. I am Samuel Villones with my group mates from Group 1 on behalf of we are about to discuss the animal surviving. I'd like to welcome you today. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Sam and I am the leader of Group 1. In this module, we will explore the various ways in which animals survive. This we will understand the role of nutrition and food in the body as well as how these nutrients enter the organs and allow animals to fend off death and starvation. After this module, you are expected to understand how animals survive through feeding and nutrients as well as the various biological processes involved in transporting nutrients into cells, ultimately leading to animal survival. First, let's talk about the animal diets. The activities of the cells, tissues, organs, and the entire organism depends on how the nutrients available for it to function cells. Function in concert with one another to bring nutrients to the organs, allowing them to function in keeping the entire organism alive. The energy gained from feeding, which is often converted to ATP powers. The process that are needed for DNA replication and cell division, in turn this process allow for the supply of proteins needed by the animal to renew tissues and use the function include the energy of motion. Animal ingest nutrients such as protein and carbohydrates for use in cell respiration and energy storage. A healthy diet throughout life promotes healthy pregnancy outcomes, support normal growth, development and aging, help to maintain a healthy body, weight, and reduce the risk of chronic disease, leading to the overall health and well-being in addition to providing the fuel essential for ATP production. An organism diet must be provided for the raw materials needed for biosynthesis in order to build complex molecules that it needed to grow and maintain itself, as well as the reproduced animal must obtain two types of organism processors from its diet. Animal need a source of organic carbon such as sugar and source of nitrogen such as amino acids. Starting with these raw materials, animal system can create a wide variety of organic molecules, the materials that an animal needs but cannot synthesize on its own are called essential nutrients. These nutrients are taken from dietary sources and include both resembled organic molecules and minerals. Some essential nutrients are needed by all animal species while others are only needed by some species. For instance, vitamin C is vital for primates and humans, whereas it's not for most other animals. Overall, a complete diet satisfies all natural requirements of animal that provides for three nutritional needs: organic building blocks for carbohydrates and other macromolecule essential nutrients. So, most people ask what are the three diets of animal? Herbivores. Example of large herbivores include cows, buffalo. This animal eat grass, tree bark, aquatic vegetation, and shrubby growth. Herbivores can also be medium-sized animals such as sheep and goats, which eat shrubby vegetation and grasses. Small herbivores include rabbit, chipmunks, squirrel, and mice. And the second one is the omnivores. Generally, omnivores eat fruits and vegetables freely, but they can eat grass and some grains due to digestive limitation. Omnivores will also hunt both carnivores and herbivores for meat, including small mammals, reptiles, and insects. Large omnivores include bears and humans, last but not least the carnivore. A carnivore is an organism that mostly eats meats or the flesh of animals. Sometimes, carnivores are called the predators. Organisms that carnivores hunt are called prey. Carnivores are major a part of the food web, a description of which organism eat which of other organism. In the wild, some of the animal eat grass or meat. It's basically called the animal food chain. The food chain begins with a producer which is eaten by a primary consumer. The primary consumer may be eaten by a secondary consumer which in turn may be consumed by a tertiary consumer. The tertiary consumer may sometimes become prey to the top predators, known as the quaternary consumers.
Let's talk about dietary deficiencies. Dietary or energy deficiency. Deficiency of energy is the most common nutrients deficiency which limits the performance of grazing animals. It may be inadequate due to overgrazing, growth, poor quality or digestibility, or expense. Sometimes forage may contain an excess of water-limiting energy intake. Malnutrition in farm animals. Nutritional deficiency is therefore defined as a disease condition which emanates from inadequate nutrition. It is indicated by specific symptoms when particular nutrients are absent or unavailable in the diet. Undernourishment causes a series of events to occur. First, the body uses up the stored carbohydrates and fats. The body begins breaking down its own protein as sources of fuel. The muscles then begin to decrease in size and the brain may become protein deficient. If the energy intake is less than the energy expenditure, the organism will eventually die. Additionally, even if an animal that is seriously undernourished survives, the damages caused by an undernourishment may be irreversible. Undernourishment may also occur in populations that are supplied well with food. This occurs in the cases of eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa. Malnourishment has the following possible effects: deformities, disease, and even death. For instance, cattle may develop fragile bones if they gaze on plants that lack phosphorus. There are grazing animals that make up for the lack of nutrients by gazing on sources of salt or ochre minerals. Among populations that rely mainly on rice, individuals are afflicted with vitamin A deficiency which causes dawn or blindness. In order to overcome this problem, scientists have engineered a type of rice, synthesized beta-carotene, an orange-colored source of vitamin A that is found in carrots. This golden rice has potential benefits for 1 to 2 million young children worldwide that die every year from vitamin A deficiency. Nutritional imbalances. Nutritional deficiencies, excess and imbalance all predispose the cell to injury. Animals can adapt to short-term dietary deficiencies in protein or calories through glycolysis, lipolysis, and catabolism of muscle protein. However, long-term starvation leads to atrophy of cells and tissues. Diets that fail to meet the basic dietary requirements can lead to malnourishment or undernourishment. Undernourishment is the result of a diet that supplies less than the chemical energy that the body requires. On the other hand, malnourishment is the long-term absence from the diet of one or more essential nutrients. Both of these are detrimental to survival.
What is food processing to animal products? Animal food processing plants are facilities that process, package, store, or otherwise handle meat or fish products that are not for human consumption. This means premises where meat or fish or any other animal products is stored, packed, packaged, processed, treated, boned, or cut up. These are various mechanisms by which animals process food. Food processing can be divided into 4 stages: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. The first stage, ingestion, is the act of eating. Foods can be acquired in both liquid and solid forms. The strategies for extracting food may also vary among animals. In digestion, the second stage of food processing, food is broken down into molecules that are small enough for the body to absorb. This stage is necessary because animals cannot directly absorb fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. They also cannot directly absorb the nucleic acids and phospholipids in food. One problem is that these molecules are too large to cross the cellular membranes of the animal. In addition, not all large molecules in food are identical to to those that the animal needs for its functions and tissues. When large molecules are broken down into their components, the animal can use these small molecules to create large molecules. For example, humans convert proteins into their food to the same amino acids from which they assemble proteins for their specific species. The chemical digestion by enzymes reverses the process of breaking down bonds with the addition of water. The process of splitting is called enzymatic hydrolysis. A variety of enzymes catalyze the digestion of large molecules that are acquired from food. Polysaccharides and disaccharides are split into simple sugars. Proteins are broken down into amino acids, and nucleic acids are broken down into nucleotides. Enzymatic hydrolysis also releases fatty acids and other components from fats and phospholipids. This chemical digestion is preceded by mechanical digestion, such as chewing. Now, mechanical digestion breaks down food into small particles, increasing the surface area that is available for chemical digestion. The last two stages of food processing occurred after the food is digested. The third stage, absorption, is when the animal cells take up small molecules such as amino acids and simple sugars. Elimination completes the process as undigested material passes out of the digestive system. The intake of food is called ingestion. The ingested food is broken down into simpler substances in the process called digestion. Digestion works by moving food through the GI tract. Digestion begins in the mouth with chewing and ends in the small intestine. As food passes through the GI tract, it mixes with digestive juices, causing large molecules of food to break down into smaller molecules. Absorption. The simple molecules that result from chemical digestion pass through the cell membranes of the lining in the small intestine into the blood or lymph capillaries. This process is called absorption. Elimination is the fourth stage of food processing, the passage of undigested and/or unnecessary material out of the digestive tract and into the environment. The primary functions of the GI tract include prehension of food and water, mastication, salivation, and swallowing of the food, digestion of food and absorption of nutrients, maintenance of fluid, and electrolyte balance and evacuation of waste products. Animal digestion begins in the mouth, then moves through the pharynx, into the esophagus, and then into the stomach and small intestine. Nutrients are absorbed in the small intestine and waste is prepared for elimination in the large intestine. The processes of digestion include 6 activities: ingestion, propulsion, mechanical or physical digestion, chemical digestion, absorption, and defecation. The first of these processes, ingestion, refers to the entry of food into the alimentary canal through the mouth. Digestive components. The digestive tract includes the oral cavity and associated organs such as lips, teeth, tongue and salivary glands, the esophagus, the 4 stomachs such as reticulum, rumen, and omasum of ruminants, and the true stomach in all species, the small intestine, the liver, the exocrine, pancreas, the large intestine, and the rectum and the anus. The evolutionary adaptation found across species is the processing of food in specialized compartments. Such compartments can be intracellular or extracellular. Intracellular digestion occurs when Food vacuoles, cellular organelles in which hydrolytic enzymes break down food, digest food molecules. Vacuoles are the simplest digestive compartments. The hydrolysis of food inside vacuoles is called intracellular digestion. It begins after a cell engulfs a solid food by phagocytosis or cell eating, or liquid by pinocytosis or cell drinking. Newly formed food vacuoles fuse with lysosomes, which are organelles that contain hydrolytic enzymes. The fusion of these organelles brings food together with the enzymes, allowing digestion to occur within the cellular compartment. These are animals such as sponges that digest their food purely through intracellular digestion. Extracellular digestion, however, occurs in compartments that are continuous with the outside of the animal's body. Having more than one extracellular compartment for digestion allows animals to consume much larger sources of food than is allowed by phagocytosis. Many animals that have simple body plans have digestive compartment with only one opening. This pouch, which is called a gastrovascular cavity, functions in digestion as well as the distribution of nutrients throughout the body. The carnivorous cnidarians provide an excellent example of how a gastrovascular cavity works. A hydra cnidarian uses its tentacles to stuff food into its gastrovascular cavity. The specialized glands into the hydra's gastrodermis, the tissue that lines the cavity, then secrete digestive enzymes that break down the prey into tiny pieces. Other cells in the gastrodermis engulf these food particles, and the hydrolysis of the food particles occurs intracellularly. In contrast with cnidarians, most animals and humans have a digestive tube that extends between two openings, a mouth and an anus. Such a tube is called the complete digestive tract or the alimentary canal. Since the food moves in only one direction, the tubes can be organized into specialized compartments that carry out digestion and nutrient absorption in a stepwise fashion. An animal with an alimentary canal can ingest food while previous meals are still being digested. This is difficult for animals with a gastrovascular cavity. Which organelle is responsible for intracellular digestion? The organelle for the intracellular digestion of food particles is the lysosome. Lysosomes are membrane-bound intracellular organelle that is rich in digestive or hydrolytic enzymes. Therefore, lysosomes are the intracellular digestion organelles. In intracellular digestion, the materials or food particles are broken down chemically into smaller components outside the cell or onto the digestive system spaces. For example, fungi feed on their food by secreting digestive enzymes to digest their food externally, which they later absorb. What are the four components of digestion? Motility, digestion, absorption, and secretion are the four vital functions of the digestive system. The digestive system breaks down the food we eat into energy our bodies can use. Motility. Motility involves the coordination of smooth muscle and nerve function to mix, triturate, and propel products of digestion, while the esophagus, stomach, small bowel, and large intestine has its own specialized functions. All work collaboratively to aid in digestion and motility. Digestion. The organs of the digestive system are the mouth, esophagus, stomach, pancreas, liver, gallbladder, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. Recognizing how these organs work together to digest food is key to understanding how digestion works. The digestive process begins in the mouth. Absorption. Absorption is a complex process in which nutrients is digested, food are harvested. Absorption can occur through 5 mechanisms. 1. Active transport. 2. Passive diffusion. 3. Facilitated diffusion. 4. Co-transport or secondary active transport. And 5. Endocytosis. Secretion. The pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, a mix of digestive enzymes, water, buffers or bicarbonates, and electrolytes produced by acinar and epithelial cells. Pancreatic juice drains through the main pancreatic duct or duct of Wirsung into the common bile duct and then into the small intestine.
There are 4 classes of essential nutrients: essential fatty acids, essential amino acids, minerals, and vitamins. What are the 3 essential fatty acids? The 3 main omega-3 fatty acids are the alpha-linolenic acid ALA. Alpha-linolenic acid is also known as linolenic acid. Essential fatty acid ALA is found in many seeds and oil, including flax seeds, walnut, chia hemp, and many common vegetable oils. Getting more EPA in your diet has positive effects on coronary heart disease, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, and inflammation. Most animals do not get enough omega-3 fatty acids in their diet. Decohexomena acid. DHA is an omega-3 fat that usually consumed from food supplements or both as animal needs in their body. To produce much of it, it may help to prevent or improve chronic conditions such as heart disease, certain cancers, and some depression that animals can have. The 6 essential nutrients that your animals need are carbohydrates, protein, fat, water, vitamins, and minerals. With this food nutrients present in every meal, you are sure to see your livestock growing healthily and happily. There are natural ways on how do animals obtain nutrients. Essential amino acids are important for protein production. Animals require 20 types of amino acids. For this, the majority of animal species can synthesize about half of these amino acids. As long as organic nitrogen is included in their diets, the other amino acids, however, must be obtained from the diet in the assembled from cold essential amino acids. Most animals, including humans, need 8 essential amino acids from their diet. It should be noted that infants need hindusine, a 9th amino acid. A diet that provides insufficient amount of one or more amino acid can cause protein deficiency. Protein deficiency is the most common type of nutritional deficiency in humans. Children are often the vitamins of protein deficiency. These children are often impaired mental and physical development. Proteins in animal production such as meat, eggs, and cheese are termed as complete because they provide all the essential amino acids in their proper proportions. In contrast to this, most proteins derived from plants are incomplete because they are deficient in one or more amino acids. For instance, corn is deficiency in lysine and tryptophan, whereas beans are deficiency in methionine. To prevent protein deficiency, vegetarian diets must often include a variety of protein that together provide all the essential amino acids. Essential fatty acids are also called needed by animals since these are fatty acids that they cannot synthesize. Essential fatty acids are unsaturated, which means that they contain one or more double bonds. For instance, humans required linolenic acid to synthesize the phospholipids in circular membranes. Since vegetable seeds and grains provide almost all of the essential fatty acid, deficiencies of these are rare. Vitamins are organic molecules that need to be acquired from the diet in a very small amount. For instance, vitamin B2 is covered by the body to FAD, which is a coenzyme to use in metabolic processes. Include circular respiration. 13 essential vitamins for humans have been identified: vitamin B, vitamin B2, niacin B, vitamin B6, vitamin B5, vitamin B9, vitamin B12, and biotic vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and the last is the vitamin K. You may ask, what is the importance of these vitamins and minerals to our animals? What do vitamins and minerals do? Vitamins and minerals boost the immune system, support normal growth, and develop and help cells and organs to do their jobs. Why are the vitamins and minerals important to animals? Vitamins are the foundation of balanced animal nutrition. They are essential, irreplaceable micronutrients that are required for animal psychological functions, including growth, body development, and reproduction, as well as animal well-being and general health status. Why is it important for animals to eat minerals or consume the energy for the minerals? Minerals are inorganic elements that are essential for the animal body, psychological function, and metabolic processes. The mineral material contribute about 4% of the animal body weight, and their presence is essential for maintaining life and animal health. There are two kinds of vitamins, water-soluble and fat-soluble. The water-soluble vitamins include the B complex. There are compounds that primarily function as coenzyme and vitamin C, which is needed for the production of connective tissue among fat-soluble. Vitamins are A, which is included in the visual pigments of the eye, and vitamin K, which is essential for blood clotting. Vitamin D, on the other hand, is needed for calcium absorption and bone formation. The dietary requirement for vitamin D vary because this can be synthesized from exposure to sunlight. You may ask, what is water-soluble? Water-soluble vitamins are carried to the body tissues but are not stored in the body. They are found in many plants and animal foods and in dietary supplements and must be taken in daily. Vitamin C and members of the vitamin B complex are water-soluble. Fat-soluble, a vitamin that can dissolve in fat and oils. Vitamins are nutrients that the body needs in a small amount to stay healthy and work the way it should be. Fat-soluble vitamins are absorbed along with fats in the diet and are stored in the body fatty tissue and in the liver. What are the differences of these? While water-soluble vitamins are quickly absorbed with this excess being released, fat-soluble vitamins are slower to dissolve and the excess is stored in the liver. This means the excess amount of fat-soluble vitamin supplements can cause problems such as vitamin toxicity. People with poorly balanced diets will benefit from the vitamin supplements. However, excessive consumption of fat-soluble vitamins is harmful. Because these are stored in the body as fat, the overconsumption of these vitamins can lead to the accumulation of toxic level in the body. Minerals are organic nutrients. Example include zinc and potassium, and these are generally required in small amounts. From less 1 mg to 2,500 mg per day, the requirement for minerals vary among species. For instance, human and the other vertebrates require large amount of calcium and phosphorus for maintaining and building bone. Additionally, calcium is essential for nerve function and the conduction of nerve impulse to muscles. Phosphorus is a component of ATP and nucleic acid. Iron is a component of cytochromes and functions in cellular respiration. It is also a component of hemoglobin, which is the oxygen-binding protein of red blood cells. Many minerals are cofactors that are built into the structure of enzymes. For instance, magnesium is present in the enzymes that split ATP to produce ADP. The synthesis of thyroid hormones requires iodine, and the thyroid hormones regulate the metabolic rate. Chlorodium, sodium, and potassium ions are important in the function of nerve and maintaining the osmotic balance between the surrounding body fluids and cells.
The pharynx is the part of the digestive system of many animals immediately behind the mouth and in front of the esophagus. In mammals, it is where the digestive tract and respiratory tract cross, commonly called the throat, which term may include the larynx. It includes the base of the tongue, the back third of the tongue, the soft palate, the back part, roof of the mouth. Ingestions and the initial steps of ingestion occurs in the oral cavity. Mechanical digestion begins to cut, smash, and grind food, which makes out easier to swallow and increases in surface area. Meanwhile, the presence of love stimulus excretion rely on causes the salivary glands to secrete saliva, love ducts in the oral cavity. Saliva may be released before food enters the mouth, triggered by the smell of the food or other stimuli. Salivatical digestion will protect the oral cavity. Amylase, an enzyme in saliva, hydrolyzes starch, a glucose polymer, a planta, and glycogen to glucose polyar V animals. Mucin, which is a slippery glycoprotein, a carbohydrate proxy compound condensate protect the lining of the mouth, front bracing. Mucin also lubricates June, a Maggie's swallow. An additional component of saliva includes bifirs, which prevent tooth decay by neutralizing acid and trilateral agent. The tongue assists in digesting a moving food to enable its further passage down in linkatary canal. After food is deemed to be acceptable for swallowing, the tongue moves to manipulate food. The pharynx or the throat region opens the two passageways, the trachea, windpipe, and the esophagus. The esophagus connects to the stomach, whereas the trachea leads to the lungs. Thus, swallowing food must be carefully choreographed to prevent food-bring lags and blocking the airways. Whenever an animal swallows, cartilaginous band called the epiglottis prevents food from entering the trachea by covering the glottis. The luis consists of vocal cords and the open between them gilded by the movement of the furry. Swallowing reflex fails, choking. If swallowing reflex fails, choking may ensue, which is a blockage of the tract. The esophagus contains both smooth pad, aerates muscles. The restricted area at the top of the esophagus are active in swallowing the south muscles, which function in peristalsis.
Let's talk about the small intestine. Most enzymatic hydrolysis of macromolecules from food occur in the small intestine. The small intestine is the longest compartment of the alimentary canal as it is over 6 meters long. The small diameter of the small intestine gives its name the first part of the small intestine. It is known as the duodenum, which is a major crossroad in digestion. It is here, the chyme mixes the digestive juices from the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. Hormones released by the stomach and duodenum control the digestive secretion into the alimentary canal. The pancreas aids chemical digestion by producing an alkaline solution that is rich in bicarbonate as well as several enzymes. The bicarbonate neutralizes the acidity of the chyme and acts as a buffer. Among the pancreatic enzymes are trypsins and chymotrypsins, which are also proteases. They are secreted into the duodenum in an inactive form. They are only activate when they are located in the extracellular space with the duodenum. The pancreas aids chemical digestion by producing an alkaline solution that is rich in the bicarbonate as well as several enzymes. The bicarbonate neutralizes the acidity of the chyme and acts as a buffer. Among the pancreatic enzymes are trypsin and chymotrypsin, which are also proteases. They are secreted into the duodenum in an inactive form. They are only activated when they are located in the extracellular space with the duodenum. The digestion of fats and other lipids begin in the small intestine. The digestion relies on the presence of bile, which is a mixture of substances that are made in the liver. Bile contains bile salts, which act as detergent that help in digestion and absorbing lipids. Bile is stored the production of bile. It also breaks down the toxins that enter the body, such as alcohol. Bile is also important for the destruction of red blood cells that are no longer functional. The epithelial lining of the duodenum is the source of several digestive enzymes. Some of these enzymes are bound to the cells of the duodenum, while others are secreted in the lumen of the small intestine. During enzymatic hydrolysis, peritalosis moves the mixture of chyme and digestive juices along the small intestine. Most of the process are complete in the duodenum. The remaining parts of the small intestine, the jejunum and ileum, function mainly in the absorption of water and nutrients. To reach body tissues, nutrients in the lumen must first cross the lining of the alimentary canal. Most of the absorption occurs in the small intestine. The surface area of the small intestine is roughly 300 meters squared. Large folds in the small intestine have finger-like projection called villi. In turn, each epithelial cell of villones has many microscopic appendices called microvilli. The microvilli give the epithelial lining a brush-like appearance, which is reflected in the name brush border. The large surface area created by the microvilli allows for more capacity for nutrients absorption. Depending on the nutrients, transport across the epithelial cells can either be passive or active. For instance, fracture moves by vacillated diffusion down its concentration gradient into epithelial cells. From there, fructose exceeds the basal surface and absorbed into microscopic blood vessels. At the core of the H villus, other nutrients such as amino acids, vitamins, and the most glucose molecules move against their concentration gradient. The latter, which is active transport, allow much more absorption of nutrients that will be possible with passive diffusion alone. Ultra many nutrients leave the intestine through the bloodstream. Some product of fats, digestion takes a different path. After being absorbed by epithelial cells, fatty acids and monoglycerides are recombined into triglycerides. Into those cells, these fats are coated with cholesterol, phospholipids, and proteins. They then form glomerulons, which are fat-soluble globules. The globules are too big to pass through the capillaries. Instead, they are transported to a lacteal, which is a vessel at the core of each villones. Lacteals are part of the lymphatic system, are vertebrates that are filled with a clear fluid called lymph. Starting at the lacteals, lymph containing by chylomicrous pass to the larger vessels of the lymphatic system. This eventually pass to the large veins that return blood to the heart. In contrast with the lacteals, capillaries, and veins that carry blood rich in nutrients and away from the villi all converge into hepatic portal vein. This vein leads directly to the liver. From the liver, blood travels to the heart and other organs. This arrangement has two major functions. Number 1, allow to the liver to regulate the distribution of nutrients to the other parts of the body. Number 2, it allows the liver to remove toxins before they are circulated into the rest of the body. What does the small intestine do for the animals? The small intestine completes most of the digestive process and absorbs many nutrients. Through villi, small finger-like projections from the villi to the nutrients enter into the blood and lymphatic system.
Absorption in large intestine. The alimentary canal ends with the large intestine. The parts of the large intestine are the colon, cecum, and the rectum. The small intestine connects to the large intestine at a T-shaped junction, where the sphincter controls the movement of material. One arm of the T is a 1.5 meter long colon, which leads to the anus and the rectum. The other arm forms a pouch called the cecum, and the cecum is integral for fermenting ingested material. This is especially so in animals that ingest large amounts of plant material. Humans have the small cecum compared to the other mammals. A finger-like extension of the human cecum, the appendix, has a small and dispensable role in immunity. A major function of the colon is to recover any liquid that has entered the alimentary canal as solvents of digestive juices. About 7 liters of fluid are secreted into the cavity of the alimentary canal per day. Together, the small intestine and the colon absorb about 90% of the water that enters the alimentary canal. There is no biological mechanism for the active transport of water, thus, the absorption of water occurs in the colon by osmosis. This results when ions, in particular sodium, are pumped out of the lumen. The feces, which are waste of the digestive system, become increasingly solid as they are moved along the colon by peristalsis. To travel the length of the colon, it takes about 12 to 24 hours for the material to pass through. If the colon is irritated by a bacteria or virus, for instance, less water may be absorbed than normal. This results in diarrhea, the opposite problem, which is constipation, occurs when the feces move too slowly along the length of the colon. Therefore, an excess of water becomes reabsorbed, leading to the compaction of feces. In human colon, a rich flora of bacteria can be found, by comprise about 1/3 of the weight of feces. An important inhabitant of the colon is Escherichia coli. Since E. coli is so common in the digestive system, it is an indicator of the level of contamination of plaques and other bodies of water by human feces. As by-products of their metabolism, many bacteria produce gases, including methane and hydrogen sulfide. which has an offensive odor. Some of the bacteria may also produce vitamins, such as vitamin K, biotin, and several B vitamins, including folic acid. These vitamins, which are absorbed into the bloodstream, supplement the daily intake of vitamins. Besides bacteria, feces also contain cellulose fiber, which is an undigested material. Although fiber has no caloric value for humans, it helps move feces along by colon. The last portion of the colon is the rectum, where the feces are stored until they can be eliminated. Between the anus and the rectum and two sphincter, the inner sphincter is involuntary while the outer sphincter is voluntary. Periodically, the contractions of the sphincter produce the urge of defecate. One of the main functions of the large intestine is absorption of water and ions during digestion. It also releases a large amount of mucose substances and facilitates the transit of semi-solid, non-digested compounds. Goblet cells are more abundant in the large intestine than in the small intestine. What is absorbed in the large intestine? The answer is, the purpose of the large intestine is to absorb water and salts from the material that has not been digested as food and get rid of any waste products left over. Why does the large intestine do in animals? The answer is, the large intestine of the dog and cat has evolved to serve two major functions: extraction of water and electrolytes from the fluid contents of the lumen and control of defecation. Does most absorption occur in the large intestine? The answer is, as food passes through the duodenum, it enters the ileum and the jejunum of the small intestine. This is where a large portion of the nutrient absorption occurs.
Good day everyone! Today we are here to talk about homeostatic mechanism. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Maria Samantha from 11 ABM. The energy from food balances the expenditure of energy for metabolism, activity, and storage. Homeostatic mechanisms are integral for maintaining homeostasis, which is the balance that allows animals and other organisms to survive in an environment which is in constant entropy. Energy, source, and stores. Animals make use of a certain source of fuel before others when they derive energy from their diets. Nearly of the ATP in animals' metabolism is based on the oxidation of rich organic molecules such as carbohydrates, protein, and fats in cellular respiration. Though all of these substances can be used as fuels, animals only utilize proteins after they have used up their stores of carbohydrates. Enough fat stored to sustain them for weeks, even in the absence of food. Homeostasis is the way animals maintain a stable internal balance in their body. It allows the animals to function in changing external conditions surrounding their body. Homeostasis is important to Chinook salmon because they depend on the functioning of its cells to help it survive and ability to reproduce. What are three examples of homeostasis in animals? An animal consumes fresh water in its environment to increase its water levels. An organism slows its breathing to increase the acidity in its bloodstream. An organism becomes hungry when it needs more food for energy. An organism warms its body by shivering. What is the example of homeostatic mechanism? Example of homeostatic includes regulation of animal body temperature and the balance between acidity and alkalinity. It is a process that maintains the stability of organisms' internal environment in response to fluctuation in external environmental conditions.
Lastly, let's talk about the overnourishment and obesity. The consumption of more calories than the body needs is termed as overnourishment. It causes obesity, which is the excess of accumulation of fat obesity. in turn contribute to a number of health problems. The most prominent health problem caused by obesity is diabetes mellitus type 2. It also contributes to cancer of the colon, breast, and cardiovascular disease that lead to stroke and heart attacks. Researchers have discovered several homeostatic mechanisms that regulate body weight, operating as feedback circuits. This mechanism controls the metabolism and storage of body fat, several hormones, to regulate short-term and long-term appetite by affecting a satiety center in the brain have control appetite. A network of neurons is segregate and release information from the digestive system to regulate the release of these hormones. Our understanding of the satiety pathway has been greatly helped by the study of mice that are chronically obese. Mice with the mutation in the OB or DB gene eat more. Thus, becoming obese, cloning of the OB gene led to the demonstrates that is produced a hormone that is now called leptin. The DB gene, on the other hand, encodes the leptin receptor. The leptin receptor and leptin play like heroes in the circuitry and that regulates appetite over the long term. Leptin is a product of the adipose cells, thus the amount of leptin increases. As the value of the body fat increases, this cues the brain in the surface appetite. Conversely, the loss of body fat decreases the amount of leptin in the body and this signals the brain the increased appetite. By this way, the feedback signals provide the leptin maintain body fat levels within a set range. A leptin also has a role in how the nervous system develops. In addition, most people who are obese have a normally high level of leptin, which somehow fails to elicit a response from the brain to decrease appetite. What causes obesity in animals? Obesity is usually caused when there is excessive dietary intake and inadequate utilization of energy. It can affect all kinds of pests, and the most common reasons are overfeeding and lack of exercise. 2. What happens when animals are overweight? It can cause heart disease, respiratory distress. Number 3. What is the connection between malnutrition and overweight? Food deficiency can also contribute to further weight gain or the development of other metabolic disease. Nutrients deficiency associated with the obesity may be partly due to overconsumption of foods that are high in calories but have a low nutrient density.
There's a saying that we are what we eat, and in this lesson we discussed about what every living organism in this earth eats and how do we digest it, how do we turn it into energy to do what we are supposed to do every day. It's the circle of life after all. Thanks for watching, and we hope we all learned something new today. Bye!